Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here for Bhagavat Sravanam. I'm very grateful. Sundays are wonderful days. And we are very excited to have our Dayal Gauranga speaking to us today. If you don't know him, get to know him and you'll love him. And if you do know him, you already love him. Because he's amazing. And he has just actually been selflessly serving Krishna for a very, very long time, since his very early adult years, late teenage years, finding Krishna consciousness, and was a monk or brahmachari for many, many years, first in California, and then he moved here to New York and was a monk at the same time when there was lots and lots of monks in this building, including Rasanam and Ganesham and other devotees. And if you haven't heard stories about those times, you should hear stories about those times. And then he just continued, he got married to Rasika Gopi and continued serving selflessly in many different capacities. He's done everything from cooking for 300 people for festivals, to being the executive director for a number of years here at Bhakti Center. And he has really, basically when COVID happened and the whole world shut down, he kept Bhakti Center afloat. And he kept Bhakti Center afloat, and he rebuilt Bhakti Center. And he just really built such a wonderful community, and we're eternally grateful to him. And he still is serving in so many various capacities this community, and preaching and sharing Krishna consciousness in New York, and also online and in so many different capacities through Vani School. So we're very, very excited to have him come speak to us today. Let's give him a round of applause.
so good to see so many wonderful, beautiful friends. They came to see Sravanam, wonderful people pay. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Are you in town?
Yes.
Well, obviously you're in town, but. Are you here right now?
For a month.
For a month. Wonderful, beautiful. Do you still live in Laguna Beach?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, Manhattan Beach, but yeah.
Manhattan Beach. She lives in the town where I first joined Krishna consciousness, a temple in a little coastal village called Laguna Beach in California. It's really good to be here. Thank you all so much. We'll just start by a short invocation. And if you know the words, you can say along with me. Om Adhyanatimidamandasya Dhyananjana Shakaya Chakshurumiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manodishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadati Swapavantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sargajatam Samagana Gunatam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Samarana Shri Shakramritam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Yevascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. 3 times all together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. Water here. Okay. It's good to see you guys. Thanks so much. Thank you for those who are online. If anyone's online, glad you guys are here. I'm hoping that today can be more of an interactive discussion than a class or a presentation that I'll just give and you all listen to. I'm hoping to hear from and learn from you as much as you may be expecting to hear from me. Does that sound okay? So I'm hoping that you guys will do as much talking as I do. I usually say that and then I end up doing all the talking. If you know me, whether it's in a class or in a conversation. So let's see if we can do something about that. Do we have a microphone that can get passed around if people need
Yeah,
it?
for sure.
Okay, great. Let's just start with asking the question why you're here today. And if the answer is to make me feel good and say, because you're speaking, let's just take that answer out of the equation. Not that I'm assuming any of you have that answer. But why are you here today? It can be related to today's class specifically, or it can be related to something totally different, or just in general. If you don't know why you're here today, this is a good opportunity to figure it out. It's a really good opportunity to figure it out.
I'm here for 3 reasons.
Is one of them because you host the program?
No, but that would be a 4th reason.
Okay, wow.
I'm here because I want to be with community. I'm here because I want to take darshan of Sravanam and all of their devotees. And I'm here because I want to hear from you and love Krishna more.
Okay, beautiful. Wow, thank
I
you.
second that.
Second that. All of them?
Oh,
All of them, except for hosting the program. Except for hosting the
I gotta
program.
host it, right?
Yeah, she posts about it on
She posts the
WhatsApp.
program. You host and I post. Anybody else? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just I want to get to know you a little bit more. Yeah, Julia.
Very cool. Well, yes, I did come because you were speaking and I love you and I miss you. Second, I do want community and I have been feeling very disconnected, I would say since COVID, when Dayal kept it going, I still felt very disconnected. And 3, and I'm being vulnerable, so please don't judge me.
Get ready.
I've never felt this huge connection to deities that I don't serve. So other people have these emotional experiences when they come here, and I sit here like, well, what's wrong with me? So I'm looking to find that connection.
Yeah, thank you so much. One other person maybe? Yeah, thank you, sir.
Today's Guru Purnima, so I think Krishna is the Jagat Guru, so let us hear something about it to celebrate the Guru Purnima.
Oh wow, you're turning it back on me. We're here to hear from you. Stop asking us questions. Yeah, thank you for that so much. It's beautiful. Is today the actual day of Guru Purnima?
Yes.
Beautiful. Today's the actual day. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So, does anybody know the title of today's discussion, talk, presentation, other than Ishwar Sundar who posted in the WhatsApp group? Pupe!
Thank you. Arjuna after the battlefield?
Yes! That's part of it.
Being human,
Yeah.
being human in the face of struggle. Something like that,
Something like that.
right? Like,
Right.
dealing with our humanity.
We have no idea. Anyone else?
She's got it.
She's got it. Over there, yes, Raja.
Arjuna after Krishna's departure.
Judas after Krishna. But there was an important part before that.
Being human.
Being human, yes. While being devotees, that's the important part of it, right? While being devotees. We're just like, I have no idea what that means. We're here for kirtan, sangha, and prasad. Whatever comes out of your mouth is irrelevant. We're just here for that aspect, please. Being human while being devotees. What does that bring up for you when you hear that phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah.
What it brings up is like, like for example, you're in kirtan and you go to a retreat and you're just so blissful and feel like you're in spiritual heaven and you have to go back to work or something like that. And how do you keep that going in the real world, the one that we live in, the material world?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something else, which I experienced, that you're in a retreat and it's blissful and heaven around you, but you're not feeling that, you're wondering what's wrong with me.
No, I'm feeling it, but I'm there.
You're
I've
feeling
been
it,
feeling it
yeah.
for a long time.
Got
I
it.
go back to work
Got it.
and
So you're the person I'm looking at that's making me feel guilty about what I'm not feeling. Got it. Thank you. So when I'm wondering, and I'm thinking, no, everyone must be feeling what I'm feeling. Nope, you're the only one feeling the left outness.
That's you doing all the work. I'm enjoying the retreat.
Got
When I
it.
go back to work, it takes a long time. I feel like I'm floating through the office while everybody else is so solid on the ground and I'm still like, which is a good feeling, but
Okay.
that's good. Oh God, please don't get this on video.
Yeah. We're recording this, right? Your boss is on board? Somebody else being human while being devotee? So now, yeah.
I would say,
maintaining a devotee's attitude and spirit amidst more material circumstances.
Maintain a devotee's attitude and spirit amidst material circumstances. Thank you. Thank you for that. There's one over here. Yeah, what's your name, sir?
Krishna Chandra.
Krishna Chandra. What a beautiful name.
Thank you. I believe it means being your own authentic self, even though you're following the principles and of being a devotee, but you have this realization of what it means. You can be your own authentic self, and you can. I'm sorry, but you can. You're able to have this spontaneity, despite without just imitating others. Just it comes straight from yourself.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Your own authentic self. There's a lot of hands going up here. A lot of humans that are trying to be devotees that want to express what it's like.
It's not mine. I'm repeating someone else. I don't know who it is, but it's a walk, moving in spiritual world while treading in the material ocean, something like that.
Moving in the spirit, moving in the
Like your
material.
head is in spiritual world, but you're treading in the ocean.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So, jump up one more thing and then we'll move on.
Ravinder Suprabhu, he said that
Yeah.
we become pure devotees and then we become human beings, because a lot of times there's this kind of like, maybe when someone is new to practicing Krishna consciousness, feeling like
Yeah.
they can't have human emotions anymore,
Mm.
or human attachments, or they have to just like be completely pure devotee or completely transcendental all the time. But that actually, as one matures, learning that being human and having, because this, where you're going with this is, Arjuna was having even grief, after hearing the Bhagavad Gita. So even when we're practicing devotees, we still feel emotions, we still care about people, we still take care about people on the spiritual level, but also on the mental, emotional, physical level as well, and that those human activities are actually devotional activities when done in the service of Krishna. And when we don't do those, then it's actually not devotional service. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like that caring for others and also caring for ourselves is, and that the humanness is actually an integral part of our Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Champa. And that quote or phrase from Vrinda Prabhu that he made famous in one of his Cure Soul seminars. He said, we work really, really, really hard in spiritual life, and if we advance enough, we can become pure devotees. And from there, if we're lucky enough, we can work really hard and become decent human beings. The idea that sometimes we transcend the idea of understanding and accepting our humanness. And the Bhagavatam itself is a story of material tragedies and spiritual triumphs. Radharaman Prabhu coins it, he says it's a story of failures. It's a story of tremendous failures on all accounts in many, many ways. And we can think of different stories of people having some sort of emotional or external failures coming short, but then finding a way through that towards Krishna. right? It's not a story of material triumph, it's a story of material tragedies that lead to spiritual triumphs. Right? And when we read the stories of devotees who experience those spiritual triumphs, we sometimes just hear about the triumph and we miss the story of how they got there in the first place. There's a beautiful juxtaposition that was pointed out to me recently by Satchidananda Swami about grief and about how we respond to challenges that take place. And he said there are two queens in the Bhagavatam who experienced tremendous grief and loss, but responded to it in a different way. The first one is the queen of, less known in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, the queen of Chitraketu Maharaj. Anybody know the story of Chitraketu Maharaj? What was his grief, his sadness, his loss? Yes?
Not having a son.
Not initially that was his loss.
Then now losing
But
the
he had a bigger loss.
son. Losing the son.
Losing the son, right?
He thought like this. He said that you will get a son and you will get both happiness and sadness because of the son.
Isn't material karma so crazy like that?
Yes.
That you sometimes have to gain a tremendous amount of material pleasure in order to experience tremendous amounts of material pain, right? We just don't know how it all works. It's really twisted, right? It's really, really twisted. But he had this. He couldn't have a son, and then when he finally had a son, what happened? How did his son die?
He got killed
By who?
by own queens.
By the other queens. So at the time there were kings that sometimes they had multiple partners, and he finally there was a queen that was able to provide him a son, and the other queens became what?
Jealous.
Envious. And so what do?
Poison.
They poisoned the baby, right? It's getting dark in here. Like, what is this? And so there was, of course, tremendous grief and loss, right? And who was the wife of Chitraketu? Anybody know her name? That was able to the mother of his son. Not very known. Not very well known. Jayatai's thinking. Krita Duty. Krita Duty. And what was her reaction? It's not a trick question. You can guess it if you don't know. She was angry. She was really, really, really angry. She was very upset. And who did she blame? She blamed God. She cursed God. She said, a parent should never outlive their child. It's against the law of nature. Either you are unaware of the laws of nature itself, which disqualifies you from being the Supreme Lord, or you're aware and you just disregard, you don't understand how the system works, you're not able to keep it together. You are lacking in qualification. And she just rejected. Satchidananda Swami said that she became an atheist. Just in her bitterness and her rage and her anger, justifiably so. I mean, who could blame her, right? She just became bitter. There aren't extensive verses in the Bhagavatam, but there are verses where it describe it, her cursing of God and her anger and her rejection. And then there's another queen in the Bhagavatam that also lost a son. Who is? Sorry? Well, there's a few queens, I guess. Which one am I thinking of? Draupadi? Yes. Kunti. Let's stick with Kunti, shall we? Most famous, right? Which son did she lose? Karna. And how did Karna die?
Another son, Arjun.
By the hand of another son. Right? By the hand of another son. And not everybody knows this as much, but in the Mahabharata it describes how before the battle, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a Mahabharata scholar by any means, so I gotta be nervous and I don't embarrass myself by mistelling the story, but Kunti herself went to Karna, right?
Yeah.
And told him the story and said, don't do this. Like, you're actually my son. You can come and you can be a part of it. We can reunite. We can be a family. But it was too late. It was just before the battle. So much had built up, and who did Karna pledge his fealty to? Why?
He supported him right from
It was nice to him. He accepted him. Right? And isn't that so much of why we join Krishna consciousness in the first place? How much of it is because of philosophy? We say this, that, or the other, but at the end of the day, what does it mean to ultimately be a devotee? It means that I want to spend more of my time with devotees than other people. Did I tell you want to say something? Can we get to the microphone?
I was just going to say, apart from accepting him, he saw his potential.
Oh, wow.
That was the thing, he saw his potential. Instead of accepting him as the label that he was ordained, he saw who he really was, or who he could be.
Who he could be. Yeah, incredible, right? Yeah, thank you. I'm thinking of another story of somebody who saw the potential in someone otherwise known as a demon in Ramayana.
Oh, Vibhishan.
Vibhishan? What was the story of Vibhishan?
Well, when he came and he surrendered to Lord Ram. And Hanuman and the other monkeys were like, no way, he's Ram as a brother. We cannot let him in our camp. But Lord Ram, then he said the famous quote, he said he's sincere. And if anyone surrenders to me just once with sincerity, then I accept them. And then he went so far as to say, even if Ravana came and surrendered to me, I would give him the kingdom of Ayodhya.
Yeah.
So everyone was saying we can't trust him, but Lord Ram was saying, no, he's sincere, it doesn't matter his relationship, I accept him.
Yeah, even Ravana. Was there anybody that saw the potential in Ravana? Sorry?
Lord Shiva.
Or Shiva?
He's a Shiva Bhakta.
Shiva Bhakta. What happened when Hanuman first went to Lanka to give the message to Sita?
He met Ravana.
What was his initial thought when he saw the opulence of Ravana?
He was so awe levels of that whole.
If only he was a devotee.
Yeah.
Imagine. Just imagine if he was a devotee of Ram, what power could be there? Even then, even for a moment, even in a distant fantasy, he saw potential. So that's such a beautiful point, Janice. I thank you for bringing that from somebody who sees so much the potential in everybody. It's a beautiful quality of your own. And so, and it's not a surprise he would pull that out. So, Duryodhana saw that potential in Karna and was kind to him and accepted him, and therefore, even though it made no material sense, right? Karna pledged his fealty to Duryodhana because of an acceptance. And Kunti tried to persuade his son, don't do this, but still it wouldn't happen. And her own son Arjuna killed her other son Karna, crushed her heart. And after the battle of Kurukshetra, in the 8th chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear the prayers of Queen Kunti. And what is the famous prayer of Queen Kunti?
Give me more and more troubles so that I can remember.
Give me more troubles, right?
So that I can keep remembering you.
So that I can keep remembering you. That somehow her grief, the same loss of Queen Kritaduti, somehow, for her it didn't incite bitterness, it incited some transformation to come closer to Krishna. And that wasn't her only tragedy, right? What were the other tragedies that Queen Kunti? Several verses in the prayers describe the other tragedies that she faced. Attempted murder on her life, exile, so much, right? Husband dying. It's just tremendous. Just like everything, tick, 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 right? And we hear these prayers of Queen Kunti, right? And those prayers can sometimes have a dual effect. Sometimes they have the effect of just being tremendously inspiring, like, wow. Anybody hear that prayer and get inspired? Some people are like, and who's in the other camp? You hear that, you're just like intimidated. You're just like, good for you, Kunti. Power to you, right? Is there something else? Is there another verse that I can have in here that maybe speaks to my life? Anybody in that camp? A few. Yeah, there's a few of us in there, right? Some of you raised your hands for both. And that happens, right? It happens. And what we don't realize is that there's a journey that each of these devotees take, right? I just started reading a beautiful book by one of our Acharyas, Rupa Goswami. It's called the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. And our Acharyas did so much work to establish the truths that we sometimes just take for granted, right? For example, Prabhupada said Krishna is the what? Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Does anybody know where that phrase comes from? Sorry? He's my go-to man right there. He's got it all. Ete Chansa Kala Pungsam. Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. And that verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, right, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami mentions is the Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha means the verse that illuminates everything else in the Bhagavad. And on this verse, we make our arguments of everything else that follows, right? And so, why is Krishna Tu Bhagavan Swayam? So our acharyas take so much length and effort in their books and writings to establish the authority and strength of Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as, for example, why do we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Because our acharyas say so, right?
We don't need to argue, we don't need to.
Yeah. And for some people, that's like, wow, what faith? For some people, it's like, you're just a brainwashed follower, right? Like, that's crazy. That's not good enough for me, right? We just believe because our acharyas say so. And why do we believe our acharyas? Because at some point in our life, there was a devotee who was kind to us, right? And we trust them. We have faith. Just like how Karna has faith in Duryodhana.
One example what they give today, yes, 60 people. Not all 60 going to cook prasad. Some 2-3 people cook the prasad. They are going to serve Krishna and they are going to take us a prasad now. If all 60 of us goes inside to cook from the beginning, what would happen? It won't. So like that, Acharya already cooked the meal for us. You just enjoy the prasad. You don't need to go again search for what to spicy food, what to cook.
Yeah, it's a beautiful faith. Thank you so much. But for those who aren't willing to say just because our acharyas say so, or for example, why do our acharyas say so? They took great length to write books like the Tattva Samdharma, the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, to explain through Shastric evidence how the entire Vedic literatures are actually a progression towards bhakti and pointing towards Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God. So they wrote these books. And in the beginning of that book, there's a short, the author is Rupa Goswami, and it just gives a little bit of the life of Rupa Goswami. Does anybody know the original names of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami? Sakir Malik and Dabir Khas. No, that is not their original names. What names are those?
Oh, those were given to them by the Muslim magistrates.
Those were the names given to them when they went to work for the Mohammedan government. What were their original names?
Rupa, Manjari, and Ratima.
That's like OG. Yeah, I feel like you're about to burst to go before him and be like, I'm just here to illuminate to you the spiritual world.
That was such a great answer.
Yeah. Okay. When they were in this world before Dr. Khas and Sakana Malik. Anybody know? Yeah. Amar and Santosh.
Oh yeah.
Interesting, Sanat Goswami was Amar. You would think that they carried the S, but Amar and Vallabh was the brother's name. I don't know, I'm not sure. Yeah. And Amar and Santosh were great devotees of Krishna, and their brother was a Ramabhakta. And as I was reading that, it was so interesting because I was just thinking, oh, Amar and Santosh, they're spiritual names, but also just kind of like convoys. And I was just thinking that, these people have a history. These are also, they're saints, they're manjaris descended from the spiritual world, and they're also human beings that lived a life. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, right? Our acharya wasn't born necessarily in a Vaishnava family as we would imagine it, right? Didn't grow up even really in a vegetarian family, right? And so they lived human lives. They were real people. And so when we read these stories of spiritual triumphs, we sometimes forget the material journey that took place along that. And what's so beautiful about the life of Arjuna, the story of Arjuna, is that we get that in great technicolor detail, both before and after the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Before the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, and afterwards, Arjuna's a complete mess. The Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, anybody know? Prabhupada named it Observing the Armies. But there's also commentators that give a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as a type of yoga. And the first chapter he relates it as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of Arjuna's despair. The yoga of Arjuna's despair. And then similarly, post Krishna's departure, there's this beautiful verse. This is from the 15th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is, so in chapters 14 and 15 of the Bhagavatam, Yudhisthira Maharaj, let's start there. Let's just read a few verses. And my thought was, rather than a specific verse that it's all going to rest on, I just wanted to just read some verses from the Bhagavatam and churn this sort of awareness. This is from chapter 14, first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. Sutta Goswami said, telling the story, Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna and other friends and also learn from the Lord of his next activities. Okay, so Arjuna is going to Dwarka to see Krishna and Yudhisthira staying home waiting for him to return. A few months passed and Arjuna did not return. Dun, dun, dun. Maharaj Yudhisthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens which were fearful in themselves. Okay? So he's starting to observe these very inauspicious omens. Right? We'll skip ahead to some of the omens that he saw. Just see, O man with the tiger's strength. Who is he referring to when he's saying, O man with the tiger's strength? Speaking to his brother Bhima. Right? Just see, O man with the tiger's strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains are all very dangerous in themselves, or foreboding danger in the near future by deluding our intelligence. The left side of my body, my thighs, arms, and eyes are all quivering again and again. I'm having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. Just see, O Bhima, how the she-jackal cries at the rising sun and vomits fire, and how the dog barks at me fearlessly. So when I read these verses, something struck me about the reason why this topic of being human while being devotees first arose in my heart while reading these verses was first and foremost when you read the subsequent verses and Arjuna returns, right? What's the first thing, if anybody knows the story, what's the first thing that Yudhisthira notices when Arjuna returns from Dwarka? First of all, what's the crushing news that Arjuna has?
Just crying.
Crying because?
Krishna
disappeared, right? That was Arjuna after Krishna's departure, right? So Arjuna gets back from Dwarka. Before Arjuna gets back, he's noticing these really inauspicious omens, and he's like, something's up. Something's up. And then what's the first thing he notices when he sees Arjuna? Before Arjuna even speaks, he notices, in general, not specific, he just notices what about Arjuna, his demeanor.
If I correct me if I'm wrong, he's lost his image and he's looking very sad.
He's just heartbroken. He just notices the heartbreak. And he begins to ask him questions. Yeah, jump up.
There's this really special verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:15-21. I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjuna to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them at a moment's notice have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land. And he's basically saying that like he's the same Arjuna. Well, I'm just reading my poem actually.
Can I read? It's a very, very short poem. Can I read it?
Let's put it to the audience. Can she read her poem?
Thank you for the encouragement. I am the same Arjuna with the very same bow, the same chariot and horses for all the world to show. The kings still offer me their due respects, but now my Lord is gone and my mind is perplexed. All of these things that before were victorious are no longer glorious, but simply laborious. Null and void I offer butter on ashes. It's like trying to see through black painted glasses. If I tried to accumulate money with a magic wand, what would I get except a dried up pond? Without my Lord, my assets are zero. My Lord is the one in front. He is my hero. Zeros have value with the one in front. He was my triumph on the battlefront. So it's all about how, like, he's just totally without Krishna. He has nothing.
Beautiful. One of my favorite verses. Tadvaidalulti ishata sorato hayaste soham rati nirpatayor yata anamanti sarvam shanena tadabur asharishtariktam bushmam hutam kuhakaratam evoktam ushyam Tadvaidalulti ishata sorato hayaste. I have the same bows, the same arrows, the same chariot, all drawn by the same horses. Everything is there. Soham rati, I'm the same chariot driver. Soham rati nirpatayor yata anamanti. That all the kings used to come and offer their worship. But sarvam shanena, in a moment's notice, sarvam shanena, something, I already said it. In a moment's notice, it all becomes null and void. Right? In the absence of Isha, in the absence of that Supreme Lord. Just like trying to create a fire by putting oblations on ashes, by sowing seed in barren land, or by trying to create money by magic wand. Right? Because Krishna's absence is such a beautiful verse. And so he's lamenting, he's in that deep state of lamentation. And Yudhisthira notices it. Right? And so I was just struck by Yudhisthira's deep attunement, right? By Yudhisthira's deep attunement to what was going on in his brother. He noticed his observation. And the first step in being human while being devotees is not losing our observation of what's going on around us and what's going on with the people that are close to us. Right? What's going on with the people around us, to be able to observe. And that was so why I read these verses of even before Yudhisthira saw Arjuna, he was noticing all of these omens, right? And there were 3 types of omens that he noticed. Let's see, I'll go back to my bookmark. Oh yeah. He said, just see, O man with the tiger's strength, how many miseries due to celestial influences, earthly reactions, and bodily pains, all very dangerous in themselves, are foreboding danger in the near future by diluting our intelligence. So by celestial influences, he was noticing the environment. Noticing what's going on in the environment around me. He was noticing the left side of my body, my thighs, arms, and eyes are all quivering again and again. I'm having heart palpitations due to fear. All this indicates undesirable happenings. Who else was experiencing something tremendous in their body when they were having lamentation and sadness? His brother Arjuna in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. My skin is burning, my hair is standing on end, my mind is reeling. He was noticing what's going on in the environment. He was noticing what was taking place in his body. And then just see, Bhima, how the she-jackal cries at the rising moon and vomits fire, and how the dog barks at me fearlessly. And he was noticing the behavior of other living entities around him. So being attuned to the environment around us, being attuned to the sensations that are going on in my own body, and being attuned to the behaviors of those around me, and noticing, just being curious and paying attention. And then observing that, and then asking questions. Inquiring, asking questions. Learning to ask devotees questions about what we're observing is a big part of being human. And the third part is listening. Yudhisthira listened to Arjuna. Even a part of him knew the answer. He's like, it's got to be Krishna's gone. He didn't want to say it, and he didn't want to tell Arjuna what he was feeling, and he listened. And Arjuna came to his own conclusion. I mean, he didn't come to his own conclusion, he remembered it on his own. And he spoke this very beautiful verse. He spoke this really, really beautiful verse. This is in the 15th chapter. So it's verse 27, so just a few verses after the beautiful verse that Champak mentioned. Desha kalarta yuktani hrittapo pashamani cha haranti smarachas chittam govinda bihitani me. Now, I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of God and Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances. Desha kalarta yuktani, and desha and kala, in all time and all places. Hrit tapa, the heat, tapa means heat, means austerity, but also literally means heat. The heat of the heart, the heartburn. Hrit tapa pashamanicha, that's experienced by all people at all times and all places, whether you're Queen Kritadyuti or Queen Kunti, or whether you just happen to be, whether you have the misfortune of needing to take the F train to work every day, right? On a weekend, right? Anybody try taking the F train this weekend? Right? And so it's just, are you trying to cross the Manhattan Bridge during the 5-borough bike-a-thon, right? So anybody miss the Bhagavat Sravanam because of the bike-a-thon? It's like, I'm gonna leave early today and get there early and take darshan and hang out with Champak, and it's gonna be sweet. And this is like, it's been 2 hours and I'm still here trying to get through the bridge. And so that's not today, by the way, but it's just, it's whatever it is, there's that recognition that life, whether you are divorced from spiritual knowledge or realization, or whether Krishna personally spoke the Bhagavad Gita to you, we're not immune from this this burningness of the heart, right? But now my mind is going back to the place where, what does it mean to remember something? It means you also forgot. So even Arjuna himself, we hear, we also forget. And that's the meaning of Sangha. Sangha isn't a place where we come and have to teach and preach and be the guru. Sangha is a place where we just come and create the space, like Yudhishthira created the space for his brother, to come to the natural remembrance and realization of what we already know in our hearts. Gauranga who mentioned that Sangha is a place where we come and exchange hope. Right? There's a couple of things I wanted to read from Srila Prabhupada. One is a letter that he wrote to Guru Das, and one is just a journal entry that I don't think he ever planned to be published ever for anybody to read. The first is, I'll read this letter. It's a letter that he wrote to his disciple Guru Das on August 29th, 1972. I'm in due receipt of your letter, dated August 23rd, 1972, and I have noted the contents carefully. Do not be depressed. All along, my godbrothers gave me only depression, repression, compression, but I continue strong in my duty. So never mind there is some discouragement. Continue with your work in full enthusiastic Krishna consciousness attitude of service. I have seen the letter of Shamasundar, and it is not meant to be critical, it is factual, but they want to make some solution by helping you only. That is the purpose. So there was some letter, some comment, something he received from somebody that he felt was discouraging and got depressed about it, and wrote to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was trying to encourage him. Down to the end of the letter. I'm very pleased to hear that my rooms have been repaired and painted so nicely. I'm looking forward to coming there sometimes around middle of October. I shall let you know. Meanwhile, go on with your work and do not for one moment feel depressed because you are rendering the highest service to Krishna. And he appreciates that. No. So Prabhupada is trying to give this encouragement, but in that encouragement there's a recognition of the feeling itself. And so when Srila Prabhupada is saying, do not be depressed, there's also a recognition that the depression is real. Right? And so what does it mean to not be depressed? It means to allow space for it to be there, but not allow it to overwhelm us in a space that we can't function in our Krishna consciousness. And sometimes in our Krishna consciousness, we feel certain things and we feel so guilty and bad that they're even there. We're allowed to have those things, right? And in each one of these, whether it's Arjuna and Yudhishthira conversing about themselves, or Gurudas speaking openly to his guru Srila Prabhupada, or sometimes Srila Prabhupada had no one to share with and all he could do was offer it up to Krishna in a journal entry that nobody would ever read. And that's the next thing that I wanted to read. It's very close to home here in New York. This is a journal entry that Srila Prabhupada wrote on Thursday, March 24th, 1966. It's either 66 or 65. No letter received today. I'll give you the context as we read it. It is understood that SS Jaladuta is on the New York port. So Srila Prabhupada would sometimes look at the boat times going back to New York to India to see if he should go because Igor should be here. Mr. Forster could not be contacted on phone. Message left for conveying to Captain Pandya. He may come today. So Captain Pandya, who was the captain of the Jaladuta, would come and see Prabhupada even in New York. The temple house is seen to be occupied. So there was a building up on the Upper West Side. Before Srila Prabhupada came to the Lower East Side, before Srila Prabhupada wanted to, started the Hare Krishna explosion in New York at 26 2nd Avenue, there was a building, a multi-story building that he wanted to purchase on the Upper West Side. And he had the money for it. The money was just in India. And he was trying to get the money transferred from India. He had a donor supporter from India to New York, but there was the US government was blocking the transfer of funds, something, he couldn't get the money. And the seller of the building is like, I'm willing to sell it to you, Swamiji, but the money can't come, I gotta move on. And so Prabhupada's saying the temple house, this is a building that he wanted to buy, it seems to be occupied, meaning that they had to give it to somebody else. I do not know whether sold or rent out. So Prabhupada doesn't know if they sold it away or they're renting it. I am mortified. Prabhupada had this building that he wanted to buy for Krishna. It wasn't that he needed a place to stay. He had his roots in Radha temple that he loved being in, was in Vrindavan. He didn't come here because he wanted a better material life. I'm trying to serve you, Krishna, and I found this building for you, and I found the money for you. You just have to transfer the funds. Prabhupada didn't immediately just say like, oh, it must be Krishna's plan. It was just like, I'm mortified. Then he said, let Lord Krishna's wish may be fulfilled. But it is a great shock to me if it is now gone to others. Right? So the holding of both things. I trust Krishna's will. May Krishna's will be fulfilled. And at the same time, I'm shocked and I'm mortified. The human experience was not denied. Right? Srila Prabhupada was extraordinarily human. He was shocked, he was mortified, and there was a higher faith. Yes, may Krishna's will be done. Krishna has some will, and at the same time, I don't always get it. And I'm not going to pretend that I do. Right? Gurudas, yes, you're depressed, you heard something from somebody, there's a criticism. I beg you to please continue on with your service. I also experienced depression in my life, and compression, and repression, and rejection, and criticism on so many levels. A brief journal entry. Captain Pandya with Mrs. Pandya came to see me. They are happy and I was so pleased to see them. They will come tomorrow. I have instructed them to see Srimati Murarji in Bombay and talk with her about my letters. There was a meeting today, 3 ladies and 3 gentlemen besides the captain and his wife attending the meeting. Mr. Robert brought some fruits and grains for me. I would call them Mr. by their first name. Mr. John, Mr. William. No income and no expenditure. Every day Prabhupada would track his income and expenditures. So, all of this is just to open up a little bit more, less of like, here's the lesson that you need to learn today, but more just open up the nuances and complexity of the human experience, both in our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, the personalities that we read and hear about in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in our own lives as well. And in the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, who was so sensitive and observant to what was going on in the environment, in his own bodily sensations, and in the behaviors of people around him, to inquire and to listen and to create space so that we can naturally not tell people what to do, but give us the space to just remember in our own time and space Krishna's instruction. Desha kalarta yuktani hirta papashamani cha haranti smaratas chittam govinda vihitani me. Arjuna, now I'm remembering those instructions imparted to me by my dear friend Govinda. Right? That we're here to remind each other of those, right? I'll end with this reference that somebody once shared with me about a story from the Bible. Anybody know this phrase, he who has not sinned shall cast the first stone?
Yes.
You ever heard it? Anybody know the story, where that comes from? Yeah, briefly, Amir?
It has to do with Mary Magdalene. I'm not sure. I think it has to do with Mary Magdalene, the prostitute. I'm not sure. Am I right or wrong?
There was a woman who was caught in adultery.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Oh.
And the village gathered around to do what? To punish her? Stone her to death. What a wild time. Stone her to death. Right? And they were all ready to go. And Jesus walked up. And what did he say?
He said, amongst you all.
Amongst you all who have not sinned, cast the first stone. What did everyone do?
Sat there.
They put down their stone and they walked away. And then Jesus had a moment with that prostitute. What did he tell her?
I do not know, sir.
It's exactly what he told her. He said, I don't know. He said, now go and leave your life of sin. Go and live your life of sin. And many people, when they hear that story, they say, see, Jesus told her to leave the life of sin. Yeah, we shouldn't condemn people, but we should encourage them to leave their life of sin and give up their habits, etc. Blah, 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 blah. And the person who was telling this story, and I was listening to it as they were saying, they said, so you read that story, and you think the person that you relate to, like, you're Jesus in that story? Like, you insert yourself in the story and you're Jesus?
Wow.
No, we're the people holding the stones. Our job is to put our stone down and walk away and give God a moment with that person, whatever that means for them. Right? And so often, we assume the role of Krishna in people's lives. And often that is because of our own lack of faith in Krishna, that he is who he says he is. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarva lokam maheshwaram suhradam sarvadaitam gyatamam shantim richatita. You can actually have peace when you have faith and trust that Krishna is not only the controller of everything, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, but suhradam sarvadaitam, last verse of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I'm the well-wishing friend of everybody. When we don't have that faith, we feel the need to seize control and take the reins. Right? There's a saying in 12-step rooms, everyone's got a God, and I'm so glad it's not me. Right? And so to have that faith and trust, our job is to be a human friend for people. And in so doing that, we display Krishna's love for them. We remind them of that love by displaying it in our own lives. Right? Even Duryodhana was able to do that for Karna. So our job as a community of devotees is to create that space for people to find acceptance, for people to find space to be honest and vulnerable with each other, so that they can stay in the community and society of devotees long enough to have those meetings with Krishna. But if they don't feel held, they don't feel accepted, that meeting will never take place. Because they won't feel comfortable to stay in the environment where they can invite Krishna in. So that is our job as a community of devotees, is to be able to provide that space for each other, to observe, to pay attention, to inquire and ask questions, and to hold space, and to listen to the example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and all of these wonderful, complex, inspiring, intimidating, interesting personalities that we find in our Shastra. We have just a few seconds left. I'm sorry. I felt like we didn't have time for question and answer, but I felt like maybe it was interactive along the way. Would anybody like to, until they go to Kant, share a reflection or ask a question? Yes.
By the way, we are visiting from Houston and we are Raj's parents.
You're Raj's parents. Wow. Can we just thank them? did a great job. Thank you so much. Your daughter is such a beloved member of our community,
We are so
both
happy.
in her service and in just her character.
We are so happy to be living here, company of devotees. Which I feel when I am going. Anyway, the next thing what I want to say, the one of the purpose we came here is visiting Raj and also visiting one of our friend. She's undergoing great pain now with his husband having cancer and son is having. She was crying almost yesterday. I don't know how to respond. So I learned that she said, I did so many things. She's not an ISKCON devotee. She said, I did so many things. Lot of Ekadasi and Vaikuntha Ekadasi and all. Why I'm undergoing this? No, he's not responding to me. I don't know how to respond. When he said being human, I couldn't respond how to respond. I only said chant and he give more strength for you to face. But when he said that, I said, how to respond to situations? I'm still learning, so I know how to respond.
Thank you so much for sharing that vulnerably. Appreciate that so much. And sometimes there is a way to respond, and sometimes the need to respond again is because sometimes I can speak from my own life. There's a need that I feel I need to play Krishna's role in that person's life. Right? And sometimes the only way to respond is just letting you know that you're there, and that it's okay to be where they're at, and having the faith and trust that Krishna will respond in the way that he needs to. And he'll give that inspiration to you in some way, it's meant to be. If not, that's okay too. And that's our job as devotees, right? We do our sadhana and our sangha and our seva so that we can be transmissions of Krishna's will in our life. Right? And so the purpose of our going deep in our own spiritual life is so that we can get the transmission of Krishna more clearly and cleanly. So it's not confused by our mind in some way. But sometimes there's not a way to respond, it's just a presence that we need to offer people. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Anyone else? A question or sharing or? Thank you guys all so much. Really, really grateful and appreciate to you. Sravanam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dayal. We're all going to please everyone come forward and move the mat to the side, and we'll sing Kirtan or Deep for Radha Muligar. So please stay. Hare Krishna.
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासवी गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण गोकुल गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंज राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा देवी की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय। कलयुग धर्म हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंद। All glories to the Son of the devotees. All glories to the devotees. All glories to the Son of the devotees. All glories to the divine lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Well, thank you again to Dayal Gauranga for speaking. Thank you all so much for being here. This happens every Sunday. Please come always. And next Sunday we have Sri Prahlad speaking on the incorporation of ISKCON. So we're very excited to have him. And also we have coming up on Saturday, July 27th, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. an all-day career Dharma retreat with Urmila Devi. That's been organized by Manohar Prabhu. Let's give a big round of applause for Manohar the monk. Thank you so much for organizing that. And then also, Bhakti Center Community Picnic is back, also organized with Wisdom of the Sages. And that is going to be on next Sunday after Bhagavat Sravanam from 4 to 7 p.m. So please come for that. It'll be really beautiful. And just two more quick announcements. Also, if you want to study Nectar of Devotion Part 2 with Vasudev, that starts on July 22nd. You can sign up for that. And then last announcement, that my husband, Gopal, back there, Gopal Krishna, and myself, he's like, why are you talking about me? And it's because it's an announcement. Because it's always awesome when you make an announcement about something that you're doing, but I'm doing it. So we're leading a pilgrimage to Vrindavan Dham, actually, in September 13th to 21st, and the last day to register for that is August 1st. So if you're interested in coming with us to the Holy Dham, you can see me afterwards. And thank you so much. Please stay for I think they want to sign up. Please stay. We have a wonderful lunch served for you on the back, and make a donation if you can, and just associate with each other because we need each other. And be human with each other over lunch. Hare Krishna. Jump up.